Welcome back to the channel, guys. It's been a minute. In today's video, we are going to be doing a tier list on mid-season rankings for every NFL team and my honest thoughts on their future, what they need to work on, and what their past is. So, beginning off, we're going to start with worst to first. So, I'm going to start off with the New York Giants. I just feel like this team has fallen completely apart. Daniel Jones, one of the most paid quarterbacks in the league, underperforming terribly. Team is riddled with injuries. Their defense is bottom of the league in almost every category. Can't make big plays in big games. Getting beat on every statistic, I think, currently. It's just, I don't know, their future's not looking bright unless they can just keep losing out for a good draft pick. I don't see this team making the playoffs. Next up, we have the New England Patriots. I just feel like this team, just another complete disaster. They had a close game against the Titans, battle of the two. Just, I don't even know, just kind of mediocre teams, both struggling, both having issues. Titans pulled that one out. The Patriots made it interesting, but that's not the moral of the story. The moral of the story is they really need to fix their whole organization. I think Drake May is showing flashes of potential, but every other part of that team needs work. Next up, we have the New Orleans Saints, one of the biggest busts of the year, going from 2-0 to 2-7, being last in their division, losing just now to who was the worst team in the league, the Carolina Panthers, who are now above them in the division. I don't see this team making any big moves to make the playoffs. They might win 3 or 4 more games, finishing with like a 5-12 record, but I don't see them going above that. Next up, we have the Las Vegas Raiders. I mean, this team is a very interesting story, just not fixing themselves much up at all. They really need to fix their offense. Brock Bowers is the only thing that they're running through, and he can only do so much for that team. Quarterback game is an issue. Running game is an issue. Defense is an issue. They need to fix everything on that team. Every category they need to fix. And finally, for this last section, we have the Jacksonville Jaguars, who are another letdown of this year. They were supposed to be a 9-10 win team. I don't see them reaching this year. Trevor Lawrence, not really clicking. He's had 1 or 2 good games, which is their only 2 wins. Their defense is doing okay. It's not doing enough to win them those games where they've had a lead at one point. Offense just not clicking. I don't see this team making the playoffs. Next up, we have the Panthers, who I do believe could stay where they are. I mean, I don't really see them making a push. They're in the same issue as all these other teams below them. I just don't think any of them can make a push out for that last wild card spot. I think it's a rebuild year for all these teams, and I don't see them making any drastic changes. Next up, we have the Cleveland Browns. In my opinion, they did make quite a big move a few weeks ago when they beat the Ravens. They looked really good. Jameis Winston showing flashes of brilliance there. Defense, getting shredded every now and then. Offense making some big plays in big time moments, but not enough to get them enough wins. At 2-7, I see them barely missing the playoffs. I think they win 7 or 8 games. I really do. I think this team could make a bunch of big changes, but I just don't see them overcoming it. At 25, we have the Miami Dolphins. Probably one of the top 5 biggest letdowns of this year. Tua getting hurt with 2 or more concussions, I think, or no, just 1, and he was out for quite a bit, and their offense just couldn't do anything. Tyreek falling off, not doing what he's supposed to. Jalen Waddle not getting enough catches. Run game, pretty decent. A-Chain's getting enough points. Did good last game against the Bills, just not enough to win them that game. I don't see them making the playoffs. I think it's going to be a long road if they can do it. They need to pretty much win out. They cannot be beaten much else throughout the year. Next, we have the Tennessee Titans. I just don't see them. It's the same thing with the Dolphins, except they somewhat look decent on offense. Defensively, not doing so well. I mean, if you think about it, their pass defense is okay. Their run defense is pretty good. Their defense as a whole just isn't bad. It's not doing enough to win them those games, and their offense can't back it up. So this is why I see them at the 24 spot. At 23, we have the New York Jets. This team is another one that I just feel like, they have Rodgers, they have Devontae Adams, they have Garrett Wilson, they have Breece Hall, and this team is 3-6, sitting at the third or fourth spot in the division. It's fluctuating. I think they're at the third. Dolphins are at the fourth. If this team really puts it together and offensively just everything starts clicking, the defense can actually make some good stops like they did last week against the Texans, I see them maybe making a push for that final wild card spot. Next, we have the Dallas Cowboys. Wow. This team is just another one, 3-5. They points they looked like they were a 6-0 team. At other points, they looked like they were an 0-7 team. I really don't know what to say about this team. Lost Dak. CD doing really good. Thank you, my fantasy king. Fantasy football doing great. But besides everything else, they're falling apart. I feel really bad for that franchise organization with Jerry Jones. He really needs to fix that team. Defensively, one of the worst in the league, giving up huge chunk plays. Offensively, doing good enough to try and get them in those winning game positions, but they just can't close it out. I see them missing the playoffs slightly. They are one game under the playoffs at 8-9. And finally, for this next section, we have the Seattle Seahawks, my team. The Seahawks are such an interesting story. 3-0, 4-5, 1-5 in the last 6 weeks. Geno leading the league in passing yards. Everything else, he cost us the game last week through 2 costly interceptions in the red zone, just boneheaded plays. There was one of them that I saw that it looked like it was holding, but that we're getting off topic. The moral of the story is offense looks very good. Jackson Smith and Jigba doing great. DK coming back next week. Kenneth Walker, great player. Offensive line, absolutely disgusting, terrible, absolutely atrocious. Need to fix offensive line. Defense got us enough stops in that last game to make a move, but we just couldn't finish it out. I really do think we get that last final wild card spot. It's just going to be a fight for it over all the upcoming teams. I think it's gonna be a long road to making the playoffs. Next, we have the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. They're right in the mix of it. They had a close game against the Chiefs. I really do think they should have won that game. They should have went for 2 at the end to win it. I think that would have been a huge win, would have knocked off the Chiefs, and I think they would be right in the mix of fighting for that division title. Their defense crumbled when they needed it to, and they got 2 touchdowns scored on them by DeAndre Hopkins out of his prime, and he looked like prime Megatron out there. It was insane. But I really do think that they can maybe turn it around. They've got to really get it together defensively. Offensively, they look good. Need to keep it going with K-Dot and Chris Godwin out for the year. Mike Evans, once he returns from that injury, I think he will be good to go. Next, we have the Cincinnati Bengals. This team is just very interesting. I really do see them making a push for the playoffs. Joe Burrow, Jamar Chase, Chase Brown, all those guys, Zach Moss, I really do think they'll turn around, and I think they will get that wild card spot. Next, we have the Indianapolis Colts. Actually, you know what? I'm going to switch. Colts. Yeah, there we go. Okay, so the Colts, they were at 20 spot, and I have them at the 20 spot because their offense just has completely been shut down these last few weeks defensively. They've had a few good games. They just haven't done enough to win those crucial game situations, and that's why they have them at 20. I don't see them making the playoffs this year. Quarterback changes have been drastic to them, and I don't think they can improve on that. Next, we have the San Francisco 49ers. Next we have the Los Angeles Rams. After that win against the Seahawks, I feel like that puts them right back into the picture, second in the division behind the Cardinals. I think they're looking really good. Matthew Stafford made something out of nothing last game with Nakua leaving the game. Cooper Kupp, still injured, wasn't really existent in that game. Demarcus Robinson stepped up big time for them. I see this team barely missing the playoffs, but it's going to be close down the stretch. Next, we have the Chicago Bears. Actually, you know what? I'm going to put the Bears right there. Bears, 18 spot. I don't know. After the game against the Cardinals, they just looked terrible. Caleb Williams was sacked at least 5 to 6 times. It was really bad. You got Bengals doing great, Rams doing good, and then the Bears sitting there defensively doing all right. Offensively, they can't get anything done. It's a struggle to score 2 touchdowns a week for them. I don't see them making the playoffs this year. This team has crumbled. They looked good for a while, but now they're crumbling. Next, we have the Denver Broncos, who are a real surprise right now. Somewhat made it close with the Baltimore Ravens. Couldn't get it done. Bo Nix looking really good. My Oregon QB, my king right there. Couldn't finish it out. Made a push. Defensively, they looked good. Offensively, tried to make a stance. Defense crumbled in the second half. First half, they looked good, so I'll leave them right at 15. I really do think that they can make a push for that last or second to last wild card spot, if not last. It's going to be a struggle. They're going to have to really wake up and just close it out. Next, we have the Los Angeles Chargers. Herbert looking good, had a great game against the Browns. I really do see them making the playoffs this year. Looking good with all the receivers. Offense doing great. Defense iffy at times, but doing enough of what they can to get them in those game-winning positions to close it out. Next, we have the Arizona Cardinals. Best team in our division so far, NFC West. I really do think the Cardinals are doing amazing. 2 or 3 game-winning kicks so far. Kicker, amazing. Kyler Murray doing great. Call of Duty will come out. They might slip a little bit. Marvin Harrison looking good. Running game looking pretty good. James Conner, top 10 in the league if I'm not mistaken. Recognition to him. He's a great running back. I do see this team making the playoffs in the wild card. I don't see them winning division. I think it'll be San Francisco. We'll have to see down the stretch. It's going to be close for sure. It's going to be an interesting one. San Francisco, I forgot to mention, I wanted to put them at that 15 spot, move the Broncos ahead. San Francisco, right there in the middle of the pack. Now that they got that win, I do see them winning that division, like I said, over the Cardinals, but it's going to be close. Who knows? Purdy looks good. Defense doing all right. Did good against Dallas, but top four in the league. Defense is pretty good. It's just the offense needs to really capitalize on those moments where they get the ball. Next we have the Green Bay Packers. They had a bad game against the Lions. The Lions, by far one of the best teams in the league, made them look terrible at home. I do see them making that wild card spot. There's only so many wild card spots. I think that they take that second to last. I don't see them winning division. I still think it's going to be the Lions. They will finish third behind the Vikings, but I do see them making the playoffs. That division is one of the best divisions in football right now, so it's anybody's game with them. Next, we have the Houston Texans at 10. Top 10 team this year, looking great defensively, offensively. C.J. Stroud, amazing. Tank Dell has done good the past few games. Didn't do good. Actually, he did do good last game. Offense struggled last game, struggled the past few games, but they will bounce back this week against the Lions. I do see them pulling off that upset at home. Now that Nico Collins is coming back, defensively they'll be alert, they'll get it done, and I feel like they'll squeak one out. I do see them making the playoffs in the future. It's going to be really close down the stretch, but I think they do. They will obviously win that division, be a 4 or 3 seed depending on how it goes later on the season. We'll have to see. Next is the Atlanta Falcons, 6-3. I mean, number 9 team in the league. I'm really impressed with this team. Kirk Cousins doing amazing. Darnell Mooney looking great. Kyle Pitts doing really well. Can't forget my guy. Yeah. So, I do see them making the playoffs. Winning the division is a very good possibility right now. I do see it happening, and them going maybe even as far as the divisional round. We'll have to see. Philadelphia Eagles, right at that number 8 spot. Clicking right now, did really good last game. I think offense is clicking, defensively they're clicking. This team is making a pushback for the playoffs, pushback for that division. It's going to be tough for the Commanders. I do see them making that. I feel like the Commanders just are unstoppable right now, so they will not win the division over the Commanders, but they will make a high wild card spot. Minnesota Vikings, I've always had appreciation for the Minnesota Vikings. You got Sam Darnold, you got that purple people eater defense, you got the offense, Justin Jefferson, all those guys doing really good. I see them making the playoffs, not winning the division obviously, but a good wild card spot. Detroit Lions, this team, I'm going to jump ahead and just put them already at 2 down here. I need to finish out the division. I just really think that they are one of the best teams in football. Second to best, obviously, behind the Chiefs because they're undefeated. It's going to be great end of the season. So many teams making a push. I do see them making it very far in the playoffs, maybe even the NFC Championship or even the Super Bowl. We will have to see. Don't want to jinx it yet. At the 6th spot, back in this category, I've got the Pittsburgh Steelers. Steelers have a wacky team to be in this spot at number 6, but offensively, they're somehow making Russell Wilson out of his prime, still doing good, still getting them into those game-winning positions, kicking good, defensively, one of the best in the league. They're getting it locked down, they're getting it done, giving their offense a chance to win, and they are. I see them making the playoffs, winning division. I do see that being a possibility. Ravens going to have to drop a few. It's going to be very close for that spot. Just have to see towards the end of the season. Next, we have the Washington Commanders at 5. I mean, this team, top 5 team in the league, obviously. Don't see them making any mistakes down the road. I think they lose maybe 2 or 3 more, ending at 12-5. Do see them winning the division. This team is looking spectacular. Hail Mary has changed their season. I see them making a good push for the playoffs and maybe even a deep run. I don't know. This team has made a drastic comeback from the past few years. I'm very impressed. Buffalo Bills at 4. Obviously, division leaders right now, most likely division winners. I don't see any contest in that division. It's going to be very, very interesting down the stretch. We will have to see where that takes them. I do see them making the playoffs, making a deep run, making that push, and I just think that they're very unstoppable right now. They have been stopped a few times, but division-wise, I think they're running away with it. I meant to put the Ravens down here, like the 10. I think I was going to swap them with the Falcons, maybe. Put them there. Steelers there, and then somewhere in there. Yeah, offensively, Lamar just doing good. Zay Flowers, great receiver. Don't have Odell anymore, obviously, but making it work with Mooney and all those other good targets. And I do think they will make it to the playoffs. Obviously, division-wise, that's going to be a toss-up. We will have to see. And yeah, I think that team is looking really good right now at that 7 spot. And obviously, number 1 team in the league, Kansas City Chiefs, unstoppable right now. It's really not a contest when they play. I mean, their offense is so weird. They have so many just old players like Kareem Hunt, DeAndre Hopkins, who are making it work, making big plays in big games. And I don't see this team not being the number 1 seed for a while unless they drop a game, and then the Lions will be the number 1 seed. So that's all for my thoughts on the NFL season. Thank y'all so much for watching. I appreciate it. Make sure to tune into the next video, the Australia video, where I'll be covering my trip to Australia and how it went. And thank you all. Y'all have a good one, and thank you for tuning in. Take care.